Hello there. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Hope that you're having a fantastic day or that you had a fantastic day. My name is Cyreta Laws-Frumau. I'm a performance and mindset coach with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And I am going through the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So this book has sold over 15 million copies. We started approximately, I think about 9 days ago, going through this book. We're now at chapter 9, the chapter on persistence. Could be 10 days ago. So we are on chapter 9, persistence, and it's the 8th step towards riches. If you haven't seen my other videos, please go ahead and check it out. So it is to kind of guide you and encourage you to also go through the book and to apply the success strategies that Napoleon has laid out. So Napoleon wrote this book interviewing more than 500 men and women who were successful at the time, who during the time of the Great Depression did very, very well for themselves, who applied these 13 success principles and made their lives better and probably improved the lives of other persons around them. This book was used by my mentor, Bob Proctor, for most of his life. He passed away earlier this year. And so in honor of him as well, I'm going through this book another time. Bob read this book every day. So it is a book that you should definitely have on your bookshelf and refer to it from time to time. It will guide you and help you as you pursue your heart's desire. So let's get into it. What we've been doing is, for the most part, picking out 3 main points in the chapter and also 3 main stories, just to keep our video as well concise, because we don't want to read the entire chapter. Chapter 9 is a very, very good chapter. I told you the last time that chapter 8, that on decision, was actually my favorite chapter, but equally, I also love chapter 9. Well, maybe not equally, but it's definitely right up there. I think it's very key. And the topic of persistence is one that we have been discussing throughout this entire book. Persistence mixed with willpower and desire are strong forces that will help you in the attainment of any goal that you set. But first, you have to set a goal. First, you have to set a goal. Without a goal, it makes no sense, because then you will be wondering, you won't have a definite path, a definite destination that you want to get to. When I say destination, I don't mean that when you get there, that's it. We're always growing, and it is natural for us to grow. We look at the plants, we see how naturally they grow. So as humans, it's an innate desire within us to grow and to improve our lives and the lives of those around us. So Napoleon says here, the very first line, persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of getting transform your desire into the money equivalent. And I looked up the word persistence on Google, and this is from the Oxford Dictionary. And it says persistence is the fact of continuing in an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So it's the continued or prolonged existence of something. So when you're being persistent, it's almost like you are being stubborn in continuing your path. And of course, you know from what we have read so far, what we have studied, why you would be persistent in this path. The 3 points that I picked out were willpower, the mastermind, and habit/desire for the first half of this chapter. So I'm going to be splitting this chapter into 2. And on the same page, Napoleon says, so I'm on page 229, and Napoleon says, the majority of people are ready to throw away their purpose, their aims, at the first sign of misfortune, at the first sign of opposition. And we have seen in previous stories as well, when persons were just 3 feet from goal, when they were very close. And we know that initially when you move towards something, there will be some opposition, but it's for you to push through. And if your plan backfires, it means that your plan isn't sound enough. So you need then to upgrade and improve the plan. Once you have a sound plan, then it will be easier to get towards your goal, but you have to be persistent. And he says that if you want to build a great fortune or whatever it is that you're going after, you have to apply persistence to the 13 factors that he has outlined in this book. And he's checking up on us at this point. So this is really cool because he says the lack of persistence is one of the major causes of failure. And we know that as well. So the first step of your persistence is, have you been following the 6 steps that we outlined in the 2nd chapter? Have you been doing them? Have you been thinking about them? Have you been thinking about your goal, about your desire? So now is a good time. We are more than halfway through the book. So this is a good time to check on your persistence. And persistence is a weakness, he said. So when it comes to willpower, you do need a bit of willpower because persistence will be overcome with a little bit of effort. If you don't put a little bit of effort in it, then it will be very challenging to be persistent. The second point that I want to bring up is the one of the mastermind. Napoleon suggests that, and we've spoken a couple of times about the power of the mastermind. And he says here that if you're weak in your persistence, then you must surround yourself with a mastermind group. And I would like to add, surround yourself with a mastermind group or a mentor or a coach. And if you decide to pick a mastermind group, you have to do so with care. And hopefully there is one person in there that will help you in developing your persistence. Normally a coach or a mentor sees something in you that you don't see in yourself and can help to push you. They also see your blind spots and will call you out on the BS, sorry for the technical term, lack of technical term actually. They would call you out and they will hold you accountable. So having a mentor or coach is also really, really good. Bob always said to be careful when you're selecting your mastermind. And I have seen that as well for myself. So you need this mastermind to help you. Now, the last point is the point on habits. And he says to get the results you want, you must apply all the rules until the application becomes a fixed habit. So that's on page 231 of my book. And why do you want it to become a habit? Because that's also how you change the subconscious mind. And we have to remember that the results that we have are as a result of how we've been programmed. It's as a result of the habits, what we get up every day and what we do habitually. It becomes a habit. It becomes a way of doing things. And if we want different results, we have to do it in a different way. Napoleon goes on to say that those who have cultivated the habit of persistence seem to enjoy insurance against failure. No matter how many times they're defeated, they finally arrive to the top of the ladder. So there is a reward for those who are persistent. Majority of persons give up. And that's why he mentions a lot that only 2% actually follow the principles in this book. Perhaps only 2% of us are persistent in our endeavor. This is a really, really good book, and it's a good time to look at your results in a non-judgmental way and just say to yourself, have I been really persistent? Are my plans sound? Am I moving towards the life that I want? There is no substitute for persistence. There is just no substitute. And Napoleon talks about a hidden guide. He says it's like there is this hidden guide, this invisible force that is testing persons to see if they will persist, if they will meet the grade, if they can stand the test of time, if they are worthy of the thing that they want, and if they will overcome temporary defeat. Because if you think about it, then all of us would have, exactly what we want, and we would not go through the fire, so to speak. We would not have endured the challenges that we meet upon. Most people give up. I don't have 3 stories today. I want to talk about 2 stories because we're only doing a part of the chapter. So the 2 stories I want to talk about, and they are related to 2 women, the first 2 women that I've seen mentioned so far in this book, I believe, yes, the first 2 women. And these were women that were part of Broadway. And these are really fabulous stories. The first story has to do with Fannie Hurst. And she actually conquered Broadway through persistence. Napoleon here describes Broadway as the graveyard of dead hopes and the front porch of opportunity. There are 2 sides to a coin, right? And there's also the law of polarity or the law of opposite. So if you've chosen a path, just know that there is the opposite of that decision. Similarly, if there is an opportunity like Broadway, there is one side that's the graveyard of dead hopes, and then there's the front porch of opportunities, generally speaking. So Fannie Hurst this is New York in 1915. That's more than a century ago, more than 100 years ago. This woman, when a lot of persons were turning away from Broadway, their hopes and their dreams were buried in the graveyard of Broadway, she persists. She did not say, all right, Broadway, you win. She said, very well, Broadway, you may whip some, but not me. I am going to force you to give up. Do you guys also remember the story of the little girl that went to the little colored girl? That was one of the first stories that we read, and still one of my favorite. It's the same persistence that she had as well. So she's like, I'm not going to give up. Yeah, you may intimidate some other little colored girl, but you're not going to intimidate me. So this was Fannie Hurst. She's like, yeah, you may whip some, but you're not going to whip me. And one publisher actually said that she got 36 rejection slips. 36. A lot of persons get 1 or 2, and they bury their heads in the sand. They're like, woe is me, I can't do this. But here's this woman that got 36 rejections. And so she was tested. And the reward, the first moving picture that discovered her brought in $100,000 in 1915, 100,000, along with royalties from the sale of a book, which would have gotten more. That's what Napoleon says here. And similarly, there's this other lady, Kate Smith, who did the same. She didn't get tired. She didn't say, "What's the use? You don't know when you're whipped." So and she didn't say, "What's the use? I'm going to give up." On page 236, a similar thing happened. She persisted, and Broadway said to her, "Name your price." And usually the price is very high. Napoleon says here, "It is so high that 1 week's salary is far more than most people make in a year." That's something that we help persons to do at the Proctor Gallagher Institute. We help persons to turn their annual income into their monthly income. But it is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the person who does not follow instructions and follow success principles. It has been done, it can be done, but it's not for everyone. So here are these amazing women who did it. And Napoleon says, and I really love this, he says, persistence is a state of mind. Therefore, it can be cultivated. So if you don't have persistence, or you think that you have a weak persistence, or you lack persistence, all hope is not lost. And to wrap up this chapter, I want to go into, it's on page 36 to 37. He says, when he says persistence is a state of mind, he says, and like all state of mind, it's based upon definite causes. And here are some definite causes that he laid out. So I'm just going to go through them. And then in the next video, we will finish chapter 9. The first one is definiteness of purpose. We know this. We have been talking about this one. It's one of the strongest forces, one of the strongest motivations, a definiteness of purpose. The second is desire, but not just any desire, an intense desire. The third is self-reliance, and self-reliance is belief in your own ability that you can and you will. And if you don't know something, you will find the specialized knowledge. You will find the mastermind to help you. The fourth, definiteness of plans. And as we said, if your plan is weak, it will fail. But don't give up. Keep changing your plan. Don't change the goal. Change the plan until your plan becomes sound. And when you have a sound plan, you will achieve the goal that you've set. The next one is accurate knowledge. And he says, knowing that one's plans are sound based upon experience or observation encourages persistence. Guessing instead of knowing destroys persistence. So don't guess. Know what you're doing. And don't procrastinate, right? The quicker you can try different things, the quicker you will get to your goal. Cooperation, spoke about harmonious cooperation with others, helps to develop persistence. And also this is needed for your mastermind. Willpower. So here he says willpower, the habit of concentrating one's thought upon the building of plans for the attainment of a definite purpose leads to persistence. Willpower is also one of your higher faculties. So this is something really good for you to develop and to cultivate. And the final point here is habit. So here he says persistence, and I'm on page 237. Persistence is the direct result of habit. The mind absorbs and becomes a part of the daily experiences upon which it feeds. And we're going to stop there. Well, he goes on to say, well, we can finish this paragraph. He says, fear, the worst of all enemies, can be effectively cured by forced repetition of acts of courage. Everyone who has seen active service in war knows this. And we know how important courage is. I want to leave you with this part, that persistence is the direct result of habit. The mind absorbs and becomes a part of the daily experiences upon which it feeds. And why I want to repeat that part is our results are internal. So even when we look at the external gives us an idea of what's going on inside of us. It's only when we change the inside that the outside world changes. And persistence is a state of mind. So we also have to be cognizant, be aware of what's going on in our minds. Beautiful chapter, or beautiful first half of the chapter. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video as we continue on chapter 9. Until then, do take care of yourselves, and I wish you an amazing day ahead.